All right, welcome back to Daybreak. It's now 29 minutes to 8 o'clock, and it's time to speak to Dr. Waiguru Impeachment, who is the party lead of the Third Way Alliance. He joins us by way of phone. Good morning, sir. How have you been keeping with the times of coronavirus pandemic?
Good morning, Sam. Yeah, I've been very well, just trying to cope up with the new normal.
Right.
And, of course, the effects of COVID-19.
Okay, and I want us to talk about two main topics. That is the impeachment of governors as well as the politics of constitutional review. But let's begin with the impeachment of governors that you've seen a clamor by members of county assemblies to remove their governors by way of impeachment. We've seen the case of Governor Waiguru. The trial begins this week at the Senate. We've seen a motion by MCAs in Kitui against Governor Ngilu. What do you make of these attempts to remove the governors as a person that was really critical in the drafting of the new constitution?
I think for me, impeachment or a vote of no confidence on leadership was never meant to be a decoration in our laws or in our constitution. It is a means towards accountability, holding leadership to account for their actions, for their decisions, for how they lead. And therefore, it was one way of removing impeachment. You see, we came from a history in our country where leaders will do as they wish. They'll make political promises that they never keep, and expect to just be in office. So impeachment is quite in order, so long as it's not being politicized, it's not being made petty or personalized for whatever reasons. But I also note some interesting trends. If you compare the impeachment of Waiguru in Kirinyaga and the action in the Senate with that of former Governor Ferdinand Waititu of Kiambu, you can clearly see that there is a lot of politics in it, because in the case of Waititu, it was an open plenary by Senate. But you can see how the rules have all of a sudden changed in the case of Waiguru.
Right.
So again, there is a lot of dishonesty in the way in which these, especially senators or politics is being played at the national level, is being done. So the rules seems to have changed. In the case of Waiguru, they now want to take it to a committee of the Senate, who I believe will just rubber stamp. I mean, we'll just come up with a report that will favor. I mean, this is all intents and purposes what Kenyans think.
Right, and Dr. Waiguru, so yes, you said that you're reading a lot of politics between Waititu's impeachment and now Governor Waiguru's impeachment trial. But when you look at it, when you read the grounds of impeachment against the governor, do you think they meet the threshold that was set in the Constitution and the laws that govern devolution in the country?
You know, to be honest with you, they do meet the threshold. Remember, if you look at, for example, say Article 104, which really like almost an overall clause on how you can recall a leader, it could just be a question of dissatisfaction on how they perform their function, or bad decisions making, or putting a country or a county, in this particular case, into a certain state of affairs. They could be impeached. In fact, I'm even liking the fact that there is proposal to impeach President Uhuru Kenyatta himself on account of the fact that maybe he's not performed very well since 2013. So the threshold, in my view, has been met. Because habits of office, for example, undermining, say, the county assembly, that for me is a higher threshold. So, constitutionally speaking, what has happened in our country in the last, I don't know, so many decades is that leaders have never been called to account. And impeachment is one way of calling those leaders to account. Let them come and explain their actions or inaction in their decision-making, in their leadership.
Of course, Governor Waiguru will have her time before the Senate committee to defend her case, but let's talk about the situation in Kitui, because we know that we have seen a motion drafted, and we're expecting that it will be tabled before the Assembly. And some of the grounds that would appear there, for instance, there's the question of gross violation of the Constitution of Kenya for failing to attend a Senate sitting of the CPIC. There's the question of the wage bill is higher than 35% against what has been stipulated in law. They are talking about failing to dismiss a CEC who was impeached by an assembly. Are you convinced that these are grounds that would actually warrant the impeachment of a governor?
Absolutely, because let's not forget that. Let's go back to Article 3, Sam. Article 3 of our Constitution requires of each and every leader or each and every Kenyan to respect, uphold, and defend the Constitution. In Article 10, which is National Values and Principles of Governance, there is a requirement again for accountability, transparency, and all those things are listed there. Now, when a leader fails to respect and uphold the Constitution, for example, if the leader does not account for money, which are really guided, which are provided for under Article 201, I mean public finance, that is a gross violation of the Constitution, because Kenya is a country of laws. We are a constitutional democracy. So if a leader fails to uphold the Constitution, that already is a gross violation, and therefore the terms for me are sufficient enough. Or if you use your office, you know, if you use that office in a manner not respecting the people, remember, the sovereign authority of this country vests in the people of Kenya, as clearly stipulated in Article 1 of our Constitution.
But then again, Dr. Ikuru, it would appear that some of these issues are issues that can be discussed at the county level. Why are we not using the alternative dispute resolution before even going to the extreme measures of starting to remove a governor, which obviously would disrupt the operations at a county? Well,
alternative dispute resolution is also provided for in our constitution. It's provided for an article. You know, I think that must be chapter 8 of the judiciary. It can be exercised, but don't forget, Sam, that one of the ingredients in our political leadership in this country is impunity. Governors think that there are some small gods. Presidents think there are some small gods. Political party leadership thinks that there are small gods. So the failure to stick together and mediate sometimes has led to people applying this provision. Like I said, impeachment was never meant to be a decoration in our Constitution.
Right.
And the truth for the matter is, on a balance of probability, leadership in Kenya is hardly accountable. And I think if we can use the means of impeaching these leaders, removing them from office because of failure, because of lies over time, I think for me, the MCAs are acting properly. and we shouldn't fault them for exercising a means within our laws to seek accountability.
Right, and let's switch gears and focus on the constitutional moment that was announced by President Kenyatta when he spoke to the nation on the 1st of June 2020, that is on the Madaraka Day celebrations. And he said that we have reached that opportunity where we need to look at the document of 2010 and see the areas that we need to amend. Are you convinced by that idea that is the constitutional moment? And secondly, do you think the political workings that you're seeing in the country will yield the needed review of the law?
First of all, the term constitutional moment is used in situations where there is actually a need to either overhaul the Constitution, rewrite it, and substantially review it. Mere constitutional proposals, amendments to the Constitution cannot constitute a constitutional moment. You know, sometimes constitutional moments are used when societies are emerging from conflict. As in the case of Kenya in 2007, 2008, there was absolute need to actually rewrite our Constitution. South Sudan, after almost a 30-year war. Liberia, after almost a 14-year. Somalia, the same thing. So that's when really a constitutional moment can be. But in our case, I do not think we are that threshold of saying this is a constitutional moment for Kenya. But there is need to review our Constitution, to amend aspects of our Constitution after a much reflection. For example, if you compare the Punguza Mizigo Kenya proposals, they're embedded on the fact that we need to reduce the burden of governance on ordinary Kenyans. We've looked at questions like how do we make devolution more stronger? The proposal we get on the ground is that devolution is still good, but we want to see devolution beyond county headquarters. And that's why in the Punguza Mizigo Kenya proposal, there is a need to use the ward as the primary unit of accelerating development so that then we can begin to equalize Kenyans.
But Dr. Ikuru, how do you suggest we do it? Because you had a Punguza Mizigo bill that failed. Now the president is coming with the quote-unquote constitutional moment at the BBI initiative. How do you suggest we move forward to the coming days?
So first of all, Sam, let's be very clear here. There are only two means via which you can amend the Constitution of Kenya. There is Article 256, which is called the Parliamentary Initiative, And that is a process that can come through Parliament. Then there is Article 257, what's called the Popular Initiative, where you actually go to the people. If you get a threshold of 1 million signatures from registered voters, you draw a bill, you take that bill to IEBC, then IEBC sends it to the county assemblies for discussion. That is the process that Third Way Alliance Kenya followed last year, and it is following now, following our relaunch of the PMK too. Now, when you keep on referring to BBI, I would like you to be very honest with the listeners. What aspect of the Constitution is BBI following? After all, in their own report, they confirmed that they only consulted, I think, there are only 7,000 participants in the entire report. So why are we lying to Kenyans that BBI is a constitutional making process, a constitutional review process? As a matter of fact, what are even their proposals?
Right.
They launched a report last year at Bomas of Kenya, which report today is not even available for Kenyans. Then noting that actually Kenyans are wild against BBI, we now started lying to Kenyans that we are going to keep on consulting more and more. So we are still waiting for that report. That BBI proposal is an enigma. Compare it, Sam, with Punguza Mizigo Kenya. Go to our website today, thirdwayalliance.com, www.thirdwayalliance.com. You will see the 10 areas of proposal. Our process is transparent. Constitution,
Honorable Waiguru,
constitution processes or amendments are not made in boardroom.
There are those that feel...
Especially after the 2010 process.
Yes, of course, you're drumming support for the Third Way Alliance Punguza Mizigo initiative, but there are those that say that recently, or when you were going through the Punguza Mizigo bill, there was some failure to be transparent in as far as acquiring the signatures of 1 million signatures, and there are those that say that you colluded with IBC to really raise those numbers. Is that true?
First of all, that's a white lie, because anybody who is honest, and let's be honest with listener Sam, we hit the road, we went to marketplaces, we presented 1.4 million signatures. IEBC, in their verification process, returned a verdict of only 1.2 million. They tried to take us to court, they failed. So really, why is it that if it's a Kuru or court who leads a process of constitution-making process, all these propaganda are being, spread around? But if it is some other people who are meeting in boardroom, you people keep on talking about their process. I mean, I have never colluded with anybody in those signatures. By the way, actually, we applied technology, Sam.
Okay.
You know, today, if you go to our website, you can actually sign, and you'll even get a receipt. So long as you're a registered voter, you will get a receipt of the number what number you are.
Right.
But anybody saying that we colluded, after all, they went to court, and we still beat them in court.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Waiguru Impeachment, for speaking to us this morning on those important matters of devolution, impeachment, as well as the constitutional questions that the country faces now. Up next, we'll be having Sporty Monday. It makes its comeback in a fuller version. Of course, the past 2 weeks we've been having it with Tijan Swila, but now today he's joined by the other panelists. We have Willis Raburu joining us from home, as well as Steve Shitara, who will be with us shortly after this break. We have that.
But tunaingia wapi?
Raburu, check mic.
Mike is not you. I'm in the miking the checker. 1, 2.
Okay, don't shout. Reduce your headroom as well as your mic room.
I reduce my headroom.
And mic room.